Hello, and welcome to the 7th video in the Connect Me series, Resource Pack 3, Celebrate Your Street Together. I'm Alistair Ganley, and I'm joined by Jojo Spinks, who's going to talk to us this evening about holding meetings during and after COVID.
Hi.
So the whole idea of meetings is probably quite alien or feeling a little bit remote at the moment. But why, when we get to that point of actually meeting face to face, is setting the space for meetings so important?
Yeah, you're so right to point out that we're not having meetings right now, and this unit covers during lockdown and afterwards. So just a very quick mention of during lockdown. A lot of these things will still be relevant, but you'll need to scale it right back to really, really small scale type projects. Things like having the garden gate gabs, which is in one of your other units. So having conversations with your neighbours at the garden gate, just little one-to-one encounters. And maybe this sort of pebble trails, and scaling your meetings as such right back to that kind of encounter. But we won't be here forever. Let's stay optimistic. Let's stay ready to come out the other side, and because people will really need these street celebrations. They're going to need you wonderful people who are picking up this course to pull these things together, because we're going to need it more than ever. And when we do reach that stage, this unit helps you set the scene for that, set the scene for those conversations, so that we've set up that invitation as best as we possibly can in the last unit. We've worked with all those different relationships with place, but now we've brought them together. Say we brought them together into a room. Your question was, why is it really important to set that space? And my answer to that really is, imagine, assuming you're not a teacher, and I know many people are, but assuming you're not a teacher, imagine walking into a classroom after not being in a classroom since you were last at school, 20, 30, 40 years ago. How does it feel, just sort of walking into a classroom? A bit giggly, a bit, and it brings, what's it bringing back for you? What memories is it bringing back? Likewise, if you step into a boardroom, step into a really officey kind of environment, you're going to take a seat at a big table. How does that feel if that's something that you're not very familiar with? And a lot of the spaces that we hire, community spaces, are either double up as classrooms or meeting rooms of different types. And if you're not regularly in an office or in a school or a teaching type of environment, that can separate you from the people who are. So you imagine I'm much more comfortable there. I teach, I feel great, I'm really comfortable, I'm settled in straight away. Already the people who don't work in those environments are at a disadvantage. So something that levels the space is my top advice. That's the concept that sits under this.
So it's kind of finding the right atmosphere, kind of setting the atmosphere that this meeting is about. So it's not about being high powered or being educational, but actually about meeting, and how do we want to meet each other in this space today?
Yeah, something comfortable. Don't be afraid to throw a few colourful tablecloths down, or rugs, or throws, something that soften the space. And something that we're all familiar with. So we're all familiar with soft furnishings, so cushions and throws and things like that. That makes it more domestic. So then that's an environment we can share. That's much more comfortable. So it's not just about making sure that people are comfortable, literally physically comfortable while they're in that space, because if they're not, chances are they won't hang around, which is a shame. But also, there's that moment when people come in and join the room. How welcoming is it?
Great, thank you. So once we've got the people there, and we're making them feel comfortable. The other way, of course, to make them feel comfortable is to give them a sense of value, to make sure that they're heard and respected. So this idea of good listening, what does that look like and feel like?
Yeah, well, you do, Alistair. You're a really good listener. You're listening to me on this course. You're giving me your attention. You're giving me your responses. So that's why we've set this conversation up in this way. Is a great example of that. I'm listening less well. I'm doing an awful lot of talking. That's a really good example, maybe, of what not to do when you pull your group together. But yeah, I'm not really the underpinning. Again, always sort of looking to winkle out the underpinning concepts in these that sit under the points in the units, is that we all remember those moments, and usually from childhood, when we just weren't heard, and when a teacher just turned their back on us or snubbed us, or even our parents, didn't realize they were just too tired and too harassed, and there was something we really wanted to say, and we carry that around inside us much more than we realize. And there is actually no bigger gift to give someone else than to hear them. So I'm incredibly grateful to you, Alistair.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure, because through these conversations where I feel that I'm getting a deeper understanding of these fundamental principles that we've been working with, but actually by lining them up and putting them out on the page and over in these conversations, it just clarifies what it is that we're doing and why it's so important. But there's an acting thing that, as you were speaking there, kind of came to me. This idea that your attention as an actor should not be on yourself. Your attention should be on the people, the person that is speaking, the sense of you look at the person, you give that attention to the person who's speaking, so that you are able to really understand what they're saying. You can really absorb them and respond authentically to what is being said. So that when you do speak, it comes from a real, organic, engaged place, which is kind of a slightly long-winded way of expressing it, but it feels, through some of the acting workshops I've done in the past, that sense of the connection, the eye contact, the making those, shaking your head and nodding your head, and really demonstrating that you are with that person's ideas and you're following, and then saying, sorry, I didn't understand that bit. Could you say it again? And it's making those active participatory things which make everybody feel comfortable.
And how uncomfortable is it when I cut you off at the end, even if I do it accidentally, and I know I do. How uncomfortable is it? So when you're sort of bringing your neighbours together in that nice comfy room that you found, and you've made the space nice and comfortable, a lot of what you're going to be doing is allowing people to feel heard in that way. And how fascinating that it's an acting tool and technique. But of course, if you're not authentically out of your own head and trying to be in someone else's, trying to respond to what you're hearing, people can tell. We're all really hypersensitive to when people aren't actually listening, they're just pretending. We know. Well, we really do know. But there is also, by the same token, nothing more heartwarming and engaging than if we feel that we've genuinely been heard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are the positive things, but sometimes people just don't get along. And that's the most difficult thing to manage if it's your meeting and you've brought people together to share ideas and suddenly there is a clash. So how do you handle it when people are clearly not getting along in your lovely environment that you've created to foster creativity and meeting and connection?
Well, the first part of that is to do the setup and to do the listening. And the chances are, if you've done that and then extend an authentic invitation to everyone, chances if you've done all those things, you're going to minimize the chances of you know, those kinds of encounters. The second part of that is you're not completely responsible for that. It's the good old transactional analysis, I'm okay, you're okay in the end. I'm here and I've come along and I'm looking to facilitate this for the benefit of us all. And I don't need you to look after me or to, you know, parent me or pick me up or whatever. I'm coming as a full adult with taking responsibility for what I'm doing. And I'm expecting that from my other participants, from my neighbours. If they bring something else, if they're acting up in a childlike way for a bit more attention, I've got the choice. I can go in like an adult and try and respond to them that way, or I can also be childlike, and some people might want to sort of like, then that's when you might get the clash.
Yes.
But if you stay adult, stay centered, refuse to do the reaction. So you've always got the choice of how you react to someone who's normally being childlike. So they're acting up for more attention than they deserve. So you can choose to parent them, which is not going to go down well. You can choose to be a clashy child with them, or you can stay centered as an adult and just be calm. And your biggest ally is the deep breath. And I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it stops you reacting quickly in the wrong place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it allows you to center back into that. Oh, hang on, I'm not actually responsible for you.
Yeah.
Because if you feel responsible, you try and parent them out, or if you feel challenged, you challenge them as a child. But if you take a deep breath
and let it go, you've got to let the breath go. It's all
yeah.
But it's actually
that's a really good point. That's a really good point. And that gives you time to think, do you know, we're neighbours. I'm not responsible for you. Nobody's paying me to be here. I'm not your care worker. I don't have to do this. You know, and if two of them are acting in a childlike way, then perfectly reasonable for the rest of you to ask them to be. You can be the adult in that situation. Stay centered. Take a breath.
Because it's your meeting.
Yeah.
And it's for, you know, we look after, but actually we have to have our agenda. We have to move through the points that we need to move through, and we don't need to get stuck.
No. Not responsible for everything. In this scenario, we're all just trying to make a better world. And
with that in mind, let's move on to the next point. Thank you very much.
Thank you.